Hi, I'm Grant Goodman, a member of the Hellfire Club in Stranger Things Season 4, and you're watching Pop Culture with Pat.
People say Hawkins is cursed. They're not way off.
Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. So today we have a special guest on the show. Today I am talking to Grant Goodman. He is on Stranger Things Season 4. He is part of the Hellfire Club. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Grant.
Yeah, of course, Pat. Thank you. Happy to be here.
So to start things off, I always usually ask guests or first time guests to the show, just kind of what was the inspiration behind you becoming an actor in the first place?
Yeah, let's see. Well, I was in like first or second grade and I tried a bunch of hobbies, threw away probably 10 different kinds of shoes. Wasn't into cleats, wasn't into rollerblading, wasn't into ice skating. Glass blowing was cool, but I knew I wasn't going to be doing it every day. What was kind of shit at hip hop dance, didn't love pottery, didn't like baseball. So I guess my parents were like, you gotta like have an interest in something. And I was like, okay. So my family friend was doing like a, semi-professional local production of Robin Hood. And they were like, oh, we think Grant would be great in this. Like, would you want to come in and audition to be Friar Tuck? And, being Jewish, I didn't know what a friar was. And I was like, oh, friar, I love mozzarella sticks. Like, I'd be a great friar. Like, thinking of deep frying. And I was like, okay, you know what? Sure. So there I was. And, I was putting on the like brown, like Pope costume and or whatever. And I was like, oh, I was having a pretty good time and I liked it. And, it was cool. We, had like 2 weeks worth of performances and Friar Tuck's like he's in a 5 or 6 scenes in Robin Hood. So it was like a perfect little introduction. And I really liked working in groups and performing and, audience reception. So I, just was like a 7-year-old who was kind of into computers too, I guess. And, looked up like how to be an actor, like how to be in movies, like acting class near me, how to get an agent. Like I just, did some rudimentary research and, the rest is history.
And now you're here, and now you're part of one of the biggest shows in the world, which is pretty crazy. Stranger Things with season 4 breaking all kinds of records, which is it's just absolutely insane. You're part of the Hellfire Club, so what was the audition process like for you, and how did you prepare for this role?
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. So I actually read for Gareth. And I think the turnaround time was like maybe a week.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure I read for it and then like a week later got an offer. Um and yeah, I got the offer and then I think I flew to Atlanta like 2 days later maybe and then had a fitting on like a Wednesday and that day like my very first day they were like, oh, there's this weird disease going around in this country. Like, we're going to postpone for 2 weeks. And which, turned into a 9 months. We had our postponement gestated, I like to say.
Yeah, I'd say, but man, that's a pretty quick turnaround because I've talked to people sometimes where it's like they go and might not hear back for like several weeks or a month or whatever. So
Yeah, so for the campaign, I read for it, I think in February, for a character that was going to be not even in the movie. It was going to be like a Funny or Die promotional skit for the movie. They were going to film like alongside principal photography just because like they needed like everyone there pretty much. So I read for that character in February and got a call in September offering me the role for like, Zach's son, which, yeah, so I'm certainly used to that. My mantra is like submit it and forget it. Like I'll do an audition and then I'll delete the emails from my inbox,
yeah.
which sometimes they're like, congratulations, you got the role. Like the script's the same as the audition. I'm like,
I should have held on.
under complication, I'm gonna need that script back.
Can you send those back to me again?
Yeah, so I'm like very, very good about like I read for something, I send in the tape, I delete the audition off my computer, I delete the email, and I'm just like, That way I just have a blank slate for when the next one comes in.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of, good though, just because I mean, there's, yeah, you go for like actors go for so many roles that, a lot of times it's like you might not get some. It's just to kind of be able good to move on to the next one.
I definitely like had a couple like heartbreaking ones that made me like so resilient. Where now it's like it could be the opportunity of a lifetime. It's like, this movie's filming with Marlon Brando's Ghost, directed by Charlie Chaplin. Like, and I'm just like, whatever. Like, maybe I'll get it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it's always good to go in, I guess like not expecting much and then to be pleasantly surprised. So
yeah, certainly. And it's like certainly like just I have all these like funny stories of like how roles have like accidentally fallen into my lap, or auditions I've like drafted out an email turning them down, and then I'm like, you know what, like I'll read for it, and then I get the part like the next day.
there you go.
Like things like that are like shockingly common, where like now I'm like pretty receptive to like reading for almost everything.
Oh, Grant, for your character was so memorable for me just because I just loved the reactions that your character had with everything that was kind of going on with him in the different scenes. Was was that something that just kind of like, I guess, like happened like in the moment, or did you, when you were kind of preparing, working on this character, was that something that you wanted to make sure he was super expressive when creating the character?
Yeah, I've definitely like always been like a reaction prioritizer, largely because I hate learning lines. I always say like I'm so much better at steps 2 through 10 of acting. And when people ask me for advice, I'm always like, don't focus so much on learning the lines. Like for years, I would like stress myself out, and then I'd like come across as like nervous or stressed in the audition, and like you could almost like see my eyes like looking into the back of my head to like try to find the next line. And then I realized like once I like started kind of just like maybe not half-assing, but like 3/4 assing, learning lines, my auditions were so much better, and like I just like focused so much on like developing the characters more. And I guess with this role there, I had a couple like memorable interjections, but I didn't necessarily have any soliloquies, which was nice. Of
Mhm.
course I like am equipped for those, in case anyone's watching this. I can handle your big long 8-minute pages, Mr. Wes Anderson, sir. Like I'd be happy to go on like a long rant for um Paul Thomas Anderson. Like I can deliver lines, but it is nice like when I focus on like you know
The reactions
it's
and
like weird. Like many people will like spend their times like pacing and learning lines, and like I'll sit there like stretching my face out to be like, and I'm just like, oh, and that's like I've seen all these like fan TikToks, which like are just so touching, and they're just like he was reacting like the rent was due, and I was like, okay, like thank you, like they were like he brought everything to the table, like he brought his whole face into this job, and I was like, yeah, thank you. Like I definitely would like read lines and like sit around and like read these scripts, and I was like would read the other person's lines and been like, okay, like what's something memorable but not like too cartoonish that I can like do to react to this um line. Like so yeah,
Oh, yeah, no, let's say it definitely worked. I was saying, or as you were kind of just saying there, that I've seen a bunch of fan reactions and memes and stuff like that with your character. So it's it's pretty cool that you made such a large impression on like this show where it was so massive and expansive with all the different characters and stuff, old characters that we had, but also new characters that came on the show. Now, have you personally, Grant, have you played D&D before, or was that kind of like first time being involved with that?
I had not. No, I am actually quite into board games where like we had our consultants come and talk about it with me, and I was like pretty good at like making it look pretty natural. My friends and I are like rabid Trivial Pursuit players. Like
Okay.
I'm very very into Trivial Pursuit, and a couple other board games over the years like I've taken a liking to. But no, I had not played that before then. But they did come, someone talked to us for like an hour and a half just about like the dynamics of the game, and of course, like we, people, as we were like progressing through the scene, like they would adjust everything and make it like look like we were playing the game.
Yeah, so they gave you.
I know Joe Quinn, who played Eddie. I know like he went and like played extensive, like he did extensive research into the game, where he was like I think a fairly proficient player and had like a committed knowledge to the game. I just didn't do that.
Was
I was
that
stretching my face, I guess.
do you know for like Joseph, was it something like did he do that specifically for this role? Like coming in, he went
Yeah. I know he did like of course extensive guitar training, which so did I. But
there you go.
he also I just like came across an interview like where he was talking about how he had done like extensive Dungeons and Dragons research. Which yeah, he's such like an enormous talent, and I'm like so happy for his like overnight success. What a great guy. He like totally deserves that, and like his hard work has paid off like tenfold.
Definitely. Yeah. And so what could you break down a little bit what it was just like, I guess, filming that whole scene where you have everyone kind of work playing the Dungeons and Dragon game, like just breaking that down a little bit?
Yeah, so we did that over 3 days, and we did like of course we filmed the dialogue, but we definitely did like a lot of one-off reaction shots and like which my bread and butter. And then yeah, just like little quips we'd come up with, and like they'd be like, oh, like you just did something great, and I'd be like, or like, oh no, like, and I'd be like, I guess I tried to differentiate those reactions more on set. They looked kind of similar just then, but yeah, that was like definitely yeah, we shot that over 3 days. And yeah, there was like a lot of like we went through like almost every scenario of gameplay, which would like pepper in like extensive dialogue and improvisation, and like that script was like definitely there were some lines, but there were like big chunks of action that we like really fine tuned
Yeah.
to make it seem like very natural.
Yeah. And I love the obviously like that was done like afterwards or whatever, but I love the interplay between that, the Dungeons and Dragon game, and then the basketball being cut in between for that scene. I thought that was like really well done just to show, the differences between like those two.
Yeah, our editing team's amazing. Like they're super nice guys. I talked to them at the premiere, and like they were very effusive and complimentary to me, which was like such an honor. And they were talking about how like much they enjoyed watching my footage, and they've watched each episode longer than anyone else has, like for hundreds of hours. So like it was yeah, they're so great. And like the way they did that, like which to me like had like kind of a High School Musical
Yeah.
vibe, was like I guess that's what my generation would think of that. That was pretty funny too. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really glad how that turned out.
And you got to work on like a couple, different sets. Which one was like your favorite one to work on, I guess, out of the couple different ones?
Yeah, I mean this show was great. Like it was nice. Like this is my first time like working with people my age, so it was like there wasn't like a generational divide like I've had with some of my colleagues. Like I had people to hang out with after work, and people I could like show memes to, or we could text and send each other tweets, and like that definitely made this such like a special experience, like having like a work friend group, which is interesting. Like it was cool. We became like after a couple of years like we're really tight. Like I keep in great touch with like quite a few of them, which is like special to me. Like maybe one of these kids will be my groomsmen. You never know.
Yeah.
It was like definitely a special experience. And then of course like over the years like working with such like esteemed people in comedy, which is like definitely my wheelhouse, was such an honor too, to work with Zach Galifianakis and Will Ferrell and Rainn Wilson, and like so many of these people like over the years who like they've defined like comedy for their generation, and like to be able to like look up to them and aspire to define the next generation of comedy is something I've really strived for.
And now, were you a fan of Stranger Things before this role, or going into this, was this kind of like a whole new experience for you?
I actually had not seen the show before. I watched it like the September after we wrapped.
Hmm.
Um, incidentally, I just hadn't seen it. I don't watch very much television. In a humbly, I have a strong preference for movies just as a consumer.
Yep.
I definitely have like no preference as an actor. I love, I feel like working on them is on TV, maybe not so much network television, but working on like something like Stranger Things has like a very similar filmmaking, process to filmmaking,
Yeah.
making movies.
Yeah, I was gonna say this definitely had like a cinematic, especially like this season. I mean, like the whole series like definitely does, but this season, just with how big it was, how expansive the episodes, how long they were, definitely for me at least watching it as an audience member, it almost felt like each episode was like its own, movie.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I hadn't gotten around to watching the show. I watched it in September, largely because I didn't want like I kind of wanted to just like bring a performance that like wasn't reflective of how the entire series had been so far.
Hmm.
I wanted to bring myself into this show and not bring this show to me, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, just incidentally I hadn't had the show, but of course like and I also as a viewer like tried to knowing I would watch this season, of course, like tried to minimize like what kind of knowledge. That way, like if I tried to like avoid any spoilers so I could like be, you know, freshly entertained myself watching this season.
Yeah.
And have some twists to look forward to. So by having not had a chance to watch the entire series at all, it was like pretty exciting to like, watch the first three seasons and then have, something very exciting to look forward to as both a viewer and professionally,
Hmm.
which was like an interesting dynamic. But yeah, I like loved it after watching it.
That's cool though that you came in because yeah, coming in as like as someone like who hadn't seen it at all, yeah, it definitely brings like a different perspective to it. And we kind of talked about like a little bit, but I guess just like what's been the overall reaction for you since the show came out, just from like social media, fans, and things like that.
Yeah, I get DMs probably every 10 minutes with compliments, which that's touching, of course. And I'm pretty good about keeping up with people and like you saying thank you. And I'm pretty receptive to interactions. And
That's
yeah, I've definitely gotten some like, really touching messages like you've inspired me to be an actor. Like, your reactions were incredible. Like, yeah, that's been great.
so cool.
Yeah, people have made like a lot of TikToks about me, which people have sent to me, which like that's touching. Like I definitely didn't expect to like, have a TikTok with 900,000 views and 700 comments and 80,000 likes. There have been a couple of those, like the fan cams, like those are like super touching. Like I'm like, these people are spending hours in front of iMovies, like making something as like a tribute to me, which like that's like I'm overwhelmingly honored by something like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been pretty great.
Pretty positive
Yeah,
experience.
that's pretty touching. And then I got asked like last week. I just signed like a contract to go to Comic-Con in Liverpool, which like I was never expecting to
That's
get
awesome.
international travel out of this. So that's
Yeah.
like super exciting. I can't wait to do that in November.
Yeah, Comic Con's a lot of fun. I'm in the New England area, so I go to like the Boston one, Rhode Island. There's like
Yeah, yeah, I would like it would be such a thrilling life to, get international travel like once a month. Like I would, totally hopefully there's one in Tokyo and Rio and
there you
Hong Kong and Beijing and I love Boston. I went to college there for one day. I went to Emerson. I dropped out after orientation. So I would love to come back. I didn't eat seafood then, and I do now. So I definitely would love to come back up there.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I think you'll
I'm
have
like
a lot of fun.
quite into traveling, and to like get to do that for work is like would be so exciting. So I'd love to get on the Comic Con circuit. Certainly, hopefully people keep reaching out, but Liverpool's like definitely a great place to start.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, yeah, I think that you'll definitely have a lot of fun at that one, and I'm sure hopefully get some some more in like the future like as well. So you sounds like you when we were just talking about that there that so you had a chance to watch the full season 4, like volumes 1 and volume 2?
Yes, yes. I sat down on a couch and watched each of them on release day.
So
I'm extremely caught up.
awesome. Okay, so while you were either watching or while you were on set, what was the thing that impressed you the most, whether it was special effects, costumes, or any other aspect of the show?
um, I guess this is let's see. I mean, everyone, like all of our department heads are like such visionaries that it's like hard to pick something, but like
Yeah, you can name a couple. That's fine. Just
yeah, like I mean our special effects team's like amazing. Our makeup artist people are great. I am like pretty tight with a couple of the hairdressers. But yeah, I mean, I would say like just watching the show, like the I guess the direction I would say like that made everything come together
yep.
is just such a harmonious orchestration, I would say, and that's like been super impressive. Like being directed by Sean Levy and the Duffer Brothers is like such an honor, and like all these like different department heads and crew members like bringing their vision to life is like just such a marvelous effort with such an enormous like wondrous payoff.
Yeah, imagine working with that. I'm not sure like how much you got to like interact with them, but I imagine like working with the Duffer Brothers, just where this is literally like their passion project, their baby. So I'm sure you probably everyone on set probably got a pretty good sense of that, working with these guys.
Yeah, yeah, they're great. They're very like precise. So I like their feedback was very precise, and they it was such an honor to work with them. And then Sean Levy, our showrunner, directed the third episode too, and like he's like a massive player in Hollywood, so that's like so exciting to get a chance to work with him too. Like he's super great. He like said some very effusive compliments to me at the premiere, which were I think about every day, and we're just like so reassuring that I like really can make it in this field.
Congratulations, man. That
Thank
that's
you.
so cool. And we talked about this a little bit like earlier, but so for you joining the cast of a show like Stranger Thing that's in its 4th season, I know sometimes that can be challenging. Just where a newcomer coming to the show, and sometimes you've had this cast where they've worked together for a while. What was it just like working with like the cast and the crew like in general? And I know it sounded like you got a chance to chat a little bit with like Joseph Quinn, where he was new to the season as well. So did he give you like did you guys kind of talk about, working on this show for the first time together, or give you like any advice or anything like that?
Yeah, we had like we his first day was my first day. We had like our press photo shoots like on the very first day. I talked to him for a while, and we were like, want to go get sushi after work? Like he was like, here's my number, like let's hang out. We like immediately hit it off. Like he's like super nice. He's so cool. Like I was in London for I had like a 18-hour layover the other day. Not the other day, in like February, and I shot him a text and I was like, hey, are you in town? He was like, no, I'm not, but like, stay for a couple days. Like I'll be back on Thursday and we can hang out. I'm like, oh, I wish like I'm just here for a layover. Like,
Yeah.
and then he sent me like a multi-paragraph, like perfect 24-hour, 24 hours in London, which like was so helpful. And like I got like a really great sense of the city for like 24 hours.
Oh wow.
He's like such a great guy. Like we're pretty good friends. Yeah, we like I immediately hit it off with him and Finn and Caleb and Gayton, and like these are just like my friends my age. Like it's we hit it off like almost immediately, and then we were luckily I got to work with these people every day, which was such an honor. And like Mason's so great, and like I filmed a bunch of scenes with like everyone, and it's cool. Like I have like actor friends my age now that I like text, and we send each other memes, and like we like laugh at like some of the thirsty comments people have made about us, and I'm like, the other guys in Hellfire Club, like we have a group chat and we like send each other TikToks and memes and like fan cams people have made for us, and it's like cool. Like these are like lifelong friendships that like go beyond a professional
Yep.
mean. And even at the premiere, like I met a couple of the other cast members that were like on the in the New Mexico cast, and like even these people were like oh you did you did such a great job, like what's your number, like let me know if you're ever in Vancouver, let me know if you're in London. I
Oh
was
wow.
like, okay, yeah, great. Like everyone's just so nice and like friendly and familial, and there was there was no ice to be broken even like on my first day.
So you guys just kind of like it sounds
Yeah, everyone was like very immediately welcoming and warm, and we were like hanging out after work like on our very first week.
wow. I mean that so it sounds like everybody on the cast was definitely, very welcoming. So I mean that must make it a lot easier to come in as like a new character, working with these people and just kind of hit it off right away.
Yeah, I mean it was like so, I mean beyond like the professional honor, like the social impact that this show has had on me has been profound. Like I'm like so grateful to like be friends with some of these people. Like they're so nice and cool, and yeah, I mean what an honor. We have a lot of similar interests and send each other memes about things that aren't in the show, and like yeah, they're all like such great kids, and like they're obviously like such enormous talents too. And,
Yeah.
like them to just like be such friendly, welcoming, inviting people is like so it's like such a warm environment.
Yeah, everyone that I've gotten to meet for the show, like I've met a couple of like the cast members at different Comic Cons and stuff like that, like Boston, Rhode Island, things like that. The people that I've met, they've all been super nice. So I mean, it sounds like it just sounds like overall just like a great cast and crew group of people to work with, but just great people like in general, even outside of just like in the work environment too.
Yeah.
So now, so I've actually talked to a couple other people that were on season 4, and I have to ask them the same question. So for you, Grant, if Vecna, if he was coming after you, what would be the song that would save you personally?
Wow. I guess like I have like quite a lot of favorite songs, but like something that would get me like the hell out of that trance would like probably be Bangarang by Skrillex.
There you go.
Or yeah, something like I don't know, something very loud and EDM, which like is definitely a favorite genre of mine. That'd probably wake me the hell up. Or like it could be Uptown Funk because I'd be like, turn this off, turn this off,
Yeah, that's a way to get out of it.
Okay, turn it off, turn it off.
And as far as as far as just like fans go, I guess, to wrap things up for you, Grant, where can fans catch you next? And is there anything else that you would like to say to them?
Yeah, I have another Netflix show called Mo coming out on August 24th. It's Rami Youssef and Mo Amer. It's set in my hometown. I'm a guest star in the second episode. It's an A24 Netflix series.
Oh,
It's yeah, it's like an outright comedy. That's coming out, and then yeah, I that's coming out in like a month. So people should
okay.
definitely watch that. I'm really excited. It's like funny. I like read the entire episode. It's like this show's great. Mo's like such a nice guy. I like ran into him at a bar like 3 weeks ago. Um, and yeah, Rami Youssef, A24. It's like they have the touch of gold. So
Yeah, say
hopefully, yeah, this show should be really great.
Yeah, no, I'll keep an eye out for that too, personally. I mean, because I'm definitely a big fan of like A24 stuff and seeing you in there. So yeah, guys, definitely make sure to check out that. And then, I know you're on Instagram. I don't know if you have like any other, social, if you wanted to like,
yeah, I definitely, it's my Instagram is Grant S. Goodman. Grant Goodman wanted to charge me $5,000, and I luckily got Grant Goodman on Twitter, which is my strong preference. I definitely am way too into Twitter, so people can check me out there. Yeah, I would say those are probably like the two best ways to get a hold of me. I have a Facebook fan page that like sometimes I'll remember to click share on like exciting updates or whatever, but I don't engage with that very much. But if
So,
you know,
Instagram and Twitter.
like share rent, yeah, Twitter, I would say at Grant Goodman. It's the best way to engage with me, or or on Instagram.
Okay, cool. Well, hey Grant, thank you again. I appreciate you. I know, you're busy, so thank you again for taking time out of your schedule to come on here, talk about a little bit about your career and just, working on Stranger Things. I really appreciate you, coming on and doing this.
Yeah, of course. Thanks so much for having me, Pat. Hi, I'm Grant Goodman, a member of the Hellfire Club in Stranger Things Season 4, and you're watching Pop Culture with Pat.